Right here is our drip bar, and this is how we make coffee here at Revel 77. Instead of using a batch brewer, we go and do all of our brewed coffee by the cup. The brew method that we use here on our drip bar is the Hario V60. This is a ceramic cone that has grooves cut into it that are going to add turbulence, which is going to make the extraction of the coffee happen more evenly. Below the drip cone, we have a carafe, and all that's really going to do is just collect the drip coffee as it comes out of the filter. This is the filter that we use in the Hario V60, and our first step when we're making coffee with it is we're going to fold at the seam, and what that does is it makes it so the filter is able to fit inside the cone. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go and pre-wet the filter. A lot of people might wonder why we pre-wet filters and things like that, but the main reasons are that we want to eliminate the paper taste from the filter, and then also, as you can see with the water going down into the decanter, we're preheating the decanter at the same time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and weigh out our coffee. We're going to use 25 grams of coffee, and so we're just going to go and put it on a scale, make sure that you tare the vessel that you're going to weigh it into, and then 25 grams, and then we're going to go and grind it. And when we're grinding, there's a couple things we want to make sure we do. We want to go and purge our grinder, so just throw a couple beans from the bag into the grinder and let that run through. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and grind our coffee. And we want to use a grind that's a little bit, it's right in between what you would use at home for a drip coffee maker and espresso. It's a little bit finer than that drip coffee maker. So the next thing that we need to do, because we're not brewing onto scales on a brew bar like this, we need to go and weigh out our water before we go and start pouring. The reason for this is we want to make sure that our ratios are correct. And so with 25 grams of coffee, we're going to want to use 400 grams of water. And when we're brewing, we want to make sure that our water is taken right off of boil. And what that's going to do is that's going to make sure that our extraction is actually going to take place, and our temperatures inside of the slurry are actually going to be at that 202 to 204 degree temperature. So the last step that we're going to do is we're going to actually start to brew the coffee. So we're going to put our coffee down into the cone. We're going to make sure that it's level. And then right before we start, we're going to go and start our timer. The timer is going to let us know that we're brewing at the right amount of time. And then the first step that we're going to do when we're actually brewing is we're going to do what's called a bloom pour. And the purpose of that is to let the coffee degas. And as you can see that you have all these bubbles that are coming out, this coffee is really fresh, and so there's a lot of CO2 that's contained in the actual coffee. And so this is going to allow a lot of that CO2 to escape so that we can actually start brewing. We're going to want to do that for 30 seconds, and then we're going to start pouring. And when we're pouring, we're going to pour slowly in kind of concentric circles, trying to incorporate everything down into the brew. The thing with a V60 is that your pour is what is going to control the speed of the extraction rather than holes on like a Melita or something like that. And so you want to go and be really conscious of how you're pouring and how fast you're pouring. You want the total brew cycle to take about 2.5 minutes. And if it's taking too long, then that will tell you that you need to go and make your grind a little bit coarser. If it's going too fast, then that means that you need to make your grind a little bit finer. You can also tell if it's going to take a little bit long right away, and that's if the level of the coffee grounds goes and rises up very quickly. And now we're just going to let that drip down. It's going to take about a minute for it to go and drip all the way down, and then we'll have our coffee will be done. Our last step is simply just enjoying our coffee. So once it's done brewing, you're going to want to preheat a mug, dump out your water, serve, and enjoy.
So the definition is input is your right farther.
That's good.